The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with your humble, lovable, and a little bit, not under the weather, reflectful host. And we'll get into that and the reasons for it in a second. But I do digress early in this show, and I should probably digress later in it. But we've got a market not going too far too fast. I suspect that we're off 3 points on the S&P cash. No volume, 1.85 billion shares. I suspect we're going to see that throughout next week. Normally, we've got a fairly decent options rollover on Monday and Tuesday. Right now, it looks like most of that options rollover is already occurring. I suspect the reason why is they're off to the Hamptons. And looks like everybody decided to go on vacation on Wall Street just a little early. Normally, we start seeing volume decrease on Wednesday. I suspect that the volume total lack of between probably about 1 and 3 Eastern time, 1 and 3:30, for about the last 3 or 4 days has a great deal to do with two striking features. The first one is that I think everybody has gotten ready a long time early to head off for a early 1 week vacation in the Hamptons. And the other part is that I want to give kudos to our big boss here at TFNN, Tom O'Brien, for pointing out what he thought was a lot of people dumping S&P futures into the close each day. And what we did find out is that there was why we've got the shortest or the least amount of shorts in the market in several years. We have, at least for equities. For the indexes, we've had people piling in, and the thought is maybe it's just a handful of people that are diving in big on the short side on the S&Ps. And he's been bringing that up, and it's kind of hard to actually get any real data, but I saw something, I think it was on Bloomberg last night, that actually came out, and I guess they were coming out every Friday or Thursday night. I saw it, and there is a massive spike in the ES, basically on the short side of the ES, selling into them. And you have to wonder why people are staying very far away from actually shorting any stock, but all over the indexes. I suspect that this kind of last real big move up was in the indexes, not in the stocks so much. We continue to see stocks being taken out and shot after hours or before the market on earnings or news day after day. We're also seeing a pattern of, I'm going to call it corruption or fraud, greed. And those are also good indications that you're kind of close to a top. We're going to talk about all those things and more. First, I want to give just a little bit of history to start the show off.
Then it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day, the Supreme Court upholds the U.S. government's decision to break up John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company on the grounds that it is a powerful monopoly that violates the rule of reason. This day, 1911, and of course, just 10 years earlier, the big brouhaha about the monopoly in the train business. And you haven't had too much since then. Mostly people kind of just wedge somebody in your company and tell you what to do, like Microsoft. I suspect that we're getting close to that in Apple and maybe in Google if the Europeans have their way. But not a lot of discussion about antitrust these days. They basically kind of try to head it off at the pass and make it painful enough for people getting close to monopoly status to get away. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've broken up. AT&T, Rockefeller, Standard Oil, kind of more of a threat than a reality for many companies. But on this day in 1911, Rockefeller ends up being broken up. Of course, he made a ton of money by selling out, and you probably would have made more money keeping it. But it's hard to ever realize those kind of sales, especially back in 1911, and the forcing it to split up basically was probably a pretty good deal for him and all his descendants, instead of waiting until everything went belly up for some other reason. We've got other things going on besides the market. It is kind of quiet out there now, but one of the things that I kind of like to bring up out here, if you're not familiar with it, anybody probably listens to this show long enough knows how much I'd really love music. And today we've lost one of the best ever. And I've been listening for the last hour to about 10 different versions of The Thrill Is Gone. But today, B.B. King, Riley B. King as he's known, born on September 16th, 1925. And, well, I'll let you listen to that yourself. I think there's a handful of songs that you can play for 30 minutes differently. And you can have 20 people, great artists like Eric Clapton, play it. And maybe it's close to the most the most perfect instrumental and lyrics ever written. But, yeah. Godspeed, B.B. King. Other things going on out here. Wanted to get into this early, why it's quiet, and most people are probably ignoring a lot of things, thinking, looking out the window, looking to the weekend. But very rarely is there something of real value on financial infotainment. But yesterday, there's a lot of people call me up and want to talk about trading in Chinese stocks. And I say, I won't touch them. I won't touch them with a 10-foot pole. And everybody's kind of been whistling past the graveyard on these things. And yesterday there was about a 30-minute discussion about a Chinese tech company. And I've got a bunch of clips out here to play. But to me, this is probably the most enlightening thing when it comes to fraud. You always see it. It's always something like Enron. It's always somewhere close to a bubble. People always look the other way. And no matter how many times it happens, 5-10 years comes along and you always find something else exactly like it. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there's a thing called VIP. The symbol is VIPS. It's a company. They lied fairly vigorously about how many stores they had. And there's a whole discussion in here. I'm going to just play the first clip because I can't remember which way I put these things in order. And I think this sets it up fairly succinctly. Well, I think we've got enough time to get started on this. Probably finish it up in the next segment.
Are their revenues $350 million or are they $3.7 billion? Which is it? Are they making $122 million or are they losing $2.1 million? Which this can't be the same company. You must have pulled the wrong filings. But
that's basically he's talking about how there's one set of books in China and there's another set that they're showing the SEC. So if you got two sets of books and they're different, one's a lie. You know that. It's easy to see out here. But the issue is that they're kind of attacking the messenger on this one. And it's not uncommon for someone to have a really great short position to go up against the street and say, hey, company's a fraud. It's a total fraud. I know it's a fraud. And this even goes back to Enron and some of the other ones, but Jim Chanos on Enron just said, hey, all I got to do is sit around for a while, and eventually the truth will out and I'll take my cash. This thing's going to zero. It's a total bogus fraud. Everybody laughed at him, poo-pooed him, and told him how nuts he was. He was down, I think, 30% at one time in his short. They tried to run him out of it. It's not uncommon. One of the reasons is if you've got a real dog of a stock, if you've got something that is a total phony sham, which there are a bunch of in the market right now, the best thing is to make sure that you get to, and repeatedly run the shorts out of the market as they have to buy it. And you can work yourself fairly easily out of the market. As George Soros is famous for saying, all economic history is one lie and deceit after another. Your job is to get on why that lie is being perpetrated and get off before it's being discovered. I think everybody in Wall Street knew that Enron, there was something, at least something phony. And of course, you're basically attacked if you bring up anything like that. Of course, there's a famous 60-minute interview with the gentleman that went to the SEC and showed the SEC that statistically, it was the equivalent of someone batting 966 in one season in baseball. That was the equivalent for Enron, or not Enron, it was Madoff returning those kind of rules. Basically, there was absolutely no way in the world Madoff could have ever made those numbers. SEC just whistles, looks the other way. 2 years later, it all blows up. But they weren't warned. They knew. And people, I think, deep in their gut know when some of these things are just too good to be true.
Do you have $5 million in property, plant, and equipment, or $400 million?
Right. I mean, what she's saying, the reports of the SEC claim $308 million in property, plant, and equipment versus $5.7 million.
So basically, we got two sets of books. One that's about 10 times bigger than the other one. So where is the reality in this?
You're either 1/10 the size of that you report to the SEC or you're not. And I think we shouldn't. Why is it that people laugh when you say a Chinese company provided completely fictitious financials? It's because this is an unlevel playing field, and the Chinese companies do not have to play by the same rules that U.S. companies play by.
That's why it will not be long any Chinese companies. There's absolutely zero behind any one of these. Now, we've seen Alibaba come out and kind of come off its highs. But the question is Alibaba, big company, real, got sales, is it statistically any better than something like VIPS, where you don't know what's truly underneath any of these companies? I'm not telling you that you can't play these things for 5 or 10 minutes during the day. But God help you if you're in one of these things overnight and you start seeing a problem. We've got about 3 more clips to play out of this thing that are pretty much outstanding and most illuminating things I've heard in probably several months. Now, we'll play these, and we'll get into the rest of the stuff. I'll get to CERE for Dave in Atlanta, too.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You've always taken the long view when it comes to investing, but what if there's an opportunity right under your nose? What if you could be more responsive to market trends to seek to boost your portfolio performance right now while seeking to reduce your overall risk? At Direction Funds, we connect investors with alternative strategies that seek to maximize their returns. Smart investors deserve smart alternatives. Find yours at directionfunds.com. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risk charges, and expenses of Direction Funds carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Funds. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact the Direction Funds at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. Investing in index funds may be more volatile than investing in broadly diversified funds. Distributed by Rafferty Capital Markets, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
I don't think anybody that's not ever seen B.B. King live will ever be able to really appreciate it, but what a talent. Anyway, we were talking about when we left VIPs, which is kind of more of a, I'm not after you shorting this individual stock, but I think what we are interested in is getting to the bottom of it. And I'm trying to warn everybody now about these Chinese stocks, whether it's a big stock or not. There are some huge problems in the way these things are working. And I warned everybody about all the structures where you really don't even own part of the company with the stock over there. I think we were talking about that when Alibaba went public. But here's another clip from this. It runs almost 20-minute conversation.
As a financial analyst here in the United States, do you compare Chinese filings with what the company files with the SEC?
Typically not.
Okay, there we go. And that's Mr. Munster and Gene Munster, as I like to call him, Herman Munster of 1313 Mockingbird Lane. But they don't check them. And here's the reason why.
For years, we did do that, and we found out that companies can make up whatever they want to. So even if we connected the points and everything
in China or in the United
out,
States, Gene?
in China.
Okay.
In China, and as they connected perfectly we still had problems of finding that some of these companies were fraud. I could spend a lot of time talking about frauds in China. And at the end of the day is that forensic work and really doing the hard work in China, I hate to say it, but it's next to impossible unless you're on the inside.
Oh, really? Now, I wonder how, when these things were going public, and his companies were underwriting these companies, did he tell people that, you know, there's absolutely no way to know whether or not these things are frauds or real? And the answer, you know already, he did not. They did not. And I think they wrap up the conversation with this, which is hysterical.
Has that crossed your mind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It crossed my mind with all my Chinese companies, and more with the Chinese companies than with the U.S. companies. And I think when you're dealing with this, there's a 5% chance I'm dead wrong, and this could be nuclear. But I don't think that that's the case.
But shouldn't the stock trade at a discount if there's a 5% chance that it's a zero? I mean, shouldn't the SEC, there should be a regulator. There's one regulator for these companies. It's the SEC. And the SEC has no ability to call the country of China.
They have zero opportunity. You know what they get? They get a busy tone. They get a dial. You know, we'll call you back, maybe. Maybe somebody just doesn't have anything to say. Anyway, I don't know if someone told you that, yeah, you're going to make some money if you go to the other end of this football field, but there's a 5% chance we've put a landmine out there, and there's a 5% chance you're going to step on that landmine. Would you go through that field, or would you just try to find another job? And I think, admittedly, why Mr. Fitchhorn of Dialectic Capital has a iron in this fire, in that he's short and he was out there pushing it. They spent about, I don't know, probably 7 minutes of the 15 minutes trying to figure out if they could tar him with something about him coming out with these reports. Two different folks basically came out with reports on this VIP shops. But I think I lost the other one that was in there, but there was one more clip where they talked about, as soon as they were caught, they said they had 105 different stores in China. And come to find out, they've got 7 stores in China. They actually changed it 2 days after this guy announced this a year ago and said that they were short. And everybody just said, well, that's the way things are. Hey, Jake, that's the way it is in Chinatown, kind of thing. Anyway, the more we look at this stuff, the more it sounds the same. But my guess is that at the end of the road out here, there is a giant time, or there's going to be a huge time to come to Jesus on these issues of Chinese stocks. And I'm just giving you kind of the big picture out here. And I don't know if we have enough time to do this justice, but Avon is, you know, if anybody's paying any attention to the news, of course, we found out that the SEC doesn't even bother to check and send you a letter back to verify that the address that you gave as a stock professional actually exists. So someone was able to find out yet another way of putting out a phony, bogus press release in the guise of the SEC. And we'll talk more about this when we come back.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with NADEX. NADEX, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, NADEX allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with NADEX in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. NADEX is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the NADEX banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
B.B. King and Eric Clapton in 2010 on the live album. Oh, my word. I could listen to this all day and forget where I'm at. But I've got my own show. So anyway, we'll continue on. Got to figure out a way to pan that out one day. Other things going on out here. We were talking about Avon. And this is nothing new. They're just finding new ways to do it. But I had to get some new email addresses from Google for a couple of things that I'm working on. So I wanted individual emails for the businesses that I was working on. So you know that you have to, if anybody's done it, they'll know recently. If you haven't done it, you won't know. But you sign up for a new email address, and you actually have to go back and figure out, or you have to give them a phone number, and they have to give you a text message back to verify that you're at least at that phone, so you can't have, make 30 different email addresses that they can't track back at least to some phone, and maybe the cops come get you one day. But the SEC doesn't even send a letter back that they could get back. They don't do any SMS messaging. Kind of interesting to see that there's such a gaping hole out here for fraud like happened in Avon. But probably more difficult, and a lot of people haven't thought about this, is what if these people set up more than one account? Well, what if this thing isn't a one-off on Avon and they have 20 different bogus company accounts that are sitting out there ready to go? And that is my fear. But if you're not familiar with it, Avon basically had a bogus buyout letter put into the SEC system. And, of course, it went out to everybody. But it stunk to high heaven because no one thought that it was real. It was the price. If they would have put the price in at like $10, I think people would have believed it. They said $16 and everybody, it didn't pass the smell test. And that's probably the downfall of most criminals, as they get just a little greedy. And what happened in this one? And I think it was up $1, and it still made probably the people some fairly decent money that were manipulating this stock. Probably a good chance they get caught. This has happened in a variety of ways, going back to my early trading days, to a variety of these companies. And most of these things used to be somebody sneaking into the press room of one of these companies and just putting something on the fax machine and sending it out to all the different companies and vamoosing before it happened. They've always caught all these folks. It's not been one of these things where people haven't been caught and gotten away with it. They've all been caught, to my knowledge. Now, the people that wouldn't be caught probably would have been a lot better if he just put a buyout bid of $8 in Avon, and whoever did this would have gotten back down. But I do wonder off. We continue to see some weakness out here in 3D printer companies, and it's always disconcerting when you see the CFOs leaving. The thought is always that when they're leaving, they basically would not sign off on the books the way that the CEO wanted them to. The CFO of DDD, 3D Systems, is leaving. A lot of the executives in SSYS have also kind of been moving in and out. My guess is that we're probably going to see one or both of these CEOs out before the end of the year, and maybe that will make some kind of definitive low in 3D printer stocks that can be bought out here. But more warning signs than bottoming signs out here in 3D printer land. Of course, we've had some major disappointments in the last couple of days, and it seems like there's always one or two companies that gets shot overnight. And we had Loco down 5.1%. Of course, this is the recent IPO where the market's very good at, especially in these IPOs, of selling the sizzle, not the steak. In the case of Loco, they're having a lot of problems with food prices, and they've tried to raise them in certain stores and it hasn't done well, and doesn't look like there's a quick answer to the problem. It was sold as the next Chipotle, however you pronounce that miserable name. But what else can you say out there? Of course, the disaster du jour is Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. They had a deal out last night where they were showing off their new cold countertop device. Now, if you're not familiar with this, this is the kind of thing that was going up against SodaStream. We've seen SodaStream, what was it, $80 stock down to $20 or so. One of the interesting things last night was how almost universally the analysts that saw the new technologies all took their sales figures down by at least half. And that's why this thing got clobbered today. It looks like maybe Coca-Cola bought a pig in a poke. They're in at about $87. If I remember right. That's when the stock gapped up. And my interest is how long Coke would sit in this thing. They bought a huge amount of shares. It's when the thing rocked from 87 to 113, I think, in one day, if memory serves me correct. We'll bring a chart up here in a little bit. But if you're wondering why this thing is going poorly, just about everybody said this thing's the size of an aircraft carrier. It's not going to sit in my counter in my kitchen. I've got a big kitchen too, and it's still not going to fit. They didn't like the size or the look or a bunch of other things. So a lot of analysts saying there may be big trouble in River City, and that river goes right by a Green Mountain coffee roaster. Boeing didn't look at their chart today, but I will also. Boeing or I'm not going used to be the deal from airline pilots because they didn't like all the other airplanes, especially in the 70s and early 80s, the Airbus lawn dart, as they used to call them, because they had such a problem with the things crashing. If there's a couple of stocks that I do not like shorting, Boeing is going to be one of them. They have gotten together with GE yet for a second time with a brand new GE 9X engine. This is going to add yet another 10% improvement in aircraft burn fuels. The airlines, I think 60% of their cost has to do with fuel. And these new engines are going to offer somewhere between, and combinations with the new Boeing planes are going to offer about 10 to 5%, depending on the way that the airplanes are configured. There's a lot of technical jargon down at the bottom. I actually know what it is, 10-to-1 bypass ratio. They've been using a lot of techniques that are called artificial intelligence techniques where they just try everything. It's a fairly new version or area of computer science. But it's basically, we're just going to keep trying things, and it's like DNA. You just keep putting different things together. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it better? Is it worse? And you send out 1,000 ships and find out which one was the most successful route. And that's what they continue to do with a lot of high-powered computers to figure out just how to improve fuel consumption. And between General Electric and Boeing, I don't know if there's a better handshake other than maybe Intel and Microsoft of two companies working together to do something perfectly. I don't think it's going to make a hill of beans difference to General Electric. I think it makes a big difference to Boeing, and they came out with a 30-year view of airplanes in the future. I think that's way too long to ever think about it, but to me, I think the issue is whether or not Airbus can continue as a going concern. I would not be short Boeing. Could it pull back in a market that pulls back? The answer is yes. I would not want to be short it compared to probably any other stock in the market. This one has orders going out the wazoo, and short of a global pandemic that stops airline traffic, I can't see anything that would mean that Boeing doesn't have the de facto best product by far, well in advance of what Airbus has. But yet another step forward for the 777s and that whole line of airlines. One last thing out here, and then we'll get to a chart which I think has too light a volume, and why I haven't jumped into it just yet. Came out this week in a Freedom of Information Act, a little noticed brief filed last summer. Lawyers for the House of Representatives claimed that an SEC investigation of congressional insider trading should be blocked on principle because lawmakers and their staff are constitutionally protected from such inquiries given the nature of their work. And basically, we got hypocrites everywhere. But seems to me that you can't even ask whether or not a senator or a congressman has traded a stock on inside information, even if it's not illegal. They're not willing to give it. The SEC's at least stuck their nose underneath the tent to get a little bit of idea about what's going on with our congressmen and how they become so incredibly wealthy by insider trading when they go there. And I don't know what you can say other than they say buzz off to the SEC. But my guess is that the SEC, once the government starts getting going on these kind of things, it just seems like it never really ever finishes. It just continues on, and everybody continues to, they get a life of their own. What else do we have out here? I think that's it on news, isn't it? Oh. One last thing, just a random comment out here since there's lots not happening in the market and kind of quiet and everything else. is just a remember. I don't know, most people remember that Mr. Rivera used to work for ABC and was fired in 1985 after 15 years because he donated $200 to a family friend running a nonpartisan mayoral campaign in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Yet we've got somebody willing to give somebody 75 G's, large, 75 large, if you're into that kind of talk. Can anybody make even an argument that the big terrestrial broadcasters like NBC, ABC, and CBS don't have an agenda in their news coverage? I don't think anybody can anymore. Everybody, I'm going to hit the next person that tells me that Fox is biased when you find out that the principal correspondent for politics puts out some huge cash. And this is not cash that basically is 90% going to widows and orphans in Africa. It's basically going 90% to people and politicians here in the United States. About 10% of that money would actually ever end up in the hands of someone that truly needed it. And of course, it's the specter of pay for play. Every once in a while in CNBC, you'll find somebody that comes on there and they'll kick them off their show. And it's for the impressed reason that they're telling you that they're long when they're short, or they're short when they're long, or they took some cash, which I think a guy, was it midsummer last year, somebody took some cash under the table. What I don't understand is why that is any different in politics. Can we really have someone giving us our news that doesn't have a stamp on them and tell you exactly which and where they're coming from? I think at least we know when people are telling us they're long or short stocks. We at least know, but I don't want to hear any more about one station having kind of an agenda and the rest not. Everybody has an agenda, and you should know that in the stock market. Anyway, it is a mad, mad, mad market. It's been kind of quiet out here. I didn't figure there would be a lot going on. We're at 21 on the S&P cash, just over 2 billion shares as we start the day. And there's not a lot more out here. We had somebody ask in the den about a particular stock. And the company is Ceres, C-E-R-E-S. I have a hard time trading stocks that have, 38,000 shares someday. Just not enough liquidity for me to get in. But I think what they're probably asking is maybe does this thing make and find a bottom? And I guess, if you really, I wouldn't have a lot of people get into this because this is one where you have more than 10 people get in. The liquidity may be totally gone in this thing. But at $1.70, I think you could take a look at it. It certainly is the kind of pattern you want to see out here, which is a huge spike in volume. What you don't like is this thing ever closing below about $1.70. And that's what you would have to look at in Ceres, C-E-R-E-S. We'll look at what this thing does when we do come back. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. That's 877-927-6648.
Trade with confidence and clarity while using the software that thousands of institutional traders rely on to make the best and most accurate decisions. Choose from 1,000 equities, currencies, and futures instruments utilizing the TAS architecture. As seen on Bloomberg terminals worldwide, the TAS Profile Scanner is a benchmark technical filtering system that thousands of traders rely on, and now you can too. For a limited time for TFNN subscribers only, we've reduced the price to just $97. That's over 75% off. John Logan hosted a special subscriber-only webinar in December, and you'll gain access to that archive as well, so you can learn exactly what the TAS Profile Scanner can do for you. Try this product out. No matter what you trade, the TAS Profile Scanner can help you make more informed trading decisions. There's no obligation to pay anything. Don't let this offer pass you by. Get your 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner today by signing up at TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy. A set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we've got probably one of the best guitar players ever weighing in on B.B. King.
Hi, this is Eric Clapton here. I just wanted to express my sadness and to say thank you to my dear friend B.B. King. I want to thank him for all the inspiration and encouragement he gave me as a player over the years and for the friendship that we enjoyed. There's not a lot left to say because this music is almost a thing of the past now. And there are not many left that play it in the pure way that B.B. did. He was a beacon for all of us who love this kind of music, and I thank him from the bottom of my heart. And so if you're not familiar with his work, then I would encourage you to go out and find an album called B.B. King Live at the Regal, which is where it all really started for me as a young player. So thanks for letting me share this, and thanks very much, and goodbye.
Yeah, old B.B. King. Yeah, the thrill is gone, but I do digress. We're going to look at Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, GMCR, isn't it? Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. That one always gives me fits out here. Of course, we're back down, this thing gap down, and you got all of a day. This thing actually did exactly what happens a great deal, which it goes right into the huge gap down with a very light volume and pops right back down. In fact, the volume is going to be awful close to that huge gap down volume on May 7th. Normally, this is where you start seeing complete demoralization in longs. Now, this thing's got a huge gap, and that's the gap I was talking about here. Why don't we go back and look at that? That was on February 6th of 2014, 32 million shares up. So we're probably going to see at least some level of support in that gap up. And you're probably talking about this thing coming back to 87, which is, I think, where Coca-Cola bought all those shares. I'm going to have to go back and look over the weekend where those came from. And, you know, where you go out there. But it is, you know, this is the way big tops are made in some of these companies. It's hard for me to know. That I guess probably we talked about it last Friday on the Tom O'Brien show a little bit about them ticking off a great deal of people by forcing them to buy their coffee in their cups and actually actively trying to make it not work when people bought third-party devices to let them use maybe Starbucks coffee in their coffee roasters. It's kind of hard to push people into buying exactly what you want. HP was probably the best at ever getting consumables. In fact, I haven't looked at them for a while. Getting consumables like inkjet cartridges and toner cartridges and forcing you to buy them. Laws have kind of changed a little bit in a lot of the way that stuff worked and has worked. I haven't looked at HP for a while, but this thing, just same thing. Lower highs and, lower highs and higher lows out here. You're getting these markets that are getting incredibly narrow with incredibly light volatility. I suspect we're going to see that continue on. I will be in the next hour of the Tom O'Brien show. He's coming up here just in a couple of minutes. I'll be in at the bottom of the hour at 3:30 Eastern time. So we'll be talking technology and the Technology Insider Hour at that time. In the meantime, make sure to sow when you can, not when you have to. And we'll see you on Channel 14. Same bat channel, same bat time on Monday. It's going to be a light week, but we'll think of a lot of things to talk about.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. You're watching Tiger TV.